Hello again and welcome to ISAC Software Academy Linux course. In this lesson we will be covering how to install software from X. This is an extension on our previous lesson of installing from the command line, and hopefully you've already seen the command line video. Installing in X is done graphically, as X is a graphical interface and is quite similar to what you would be used to with Microsoft Windows installers, with some obvious changes here and there. There are different ways to install from X, and we will be focusing predominantly on the Ubuntu software package manager that they have, which is called the Ubuntu Software Center. Now this is pretty much a graphical front for the apt application that we discussed in the previous lesson. However, there are some extended features that are worth mentioning. The other method you might have seen briefly in the previous lesson, which was the use of a shell script, which when I ran it actually popped up with a graphical interface itself. Now this is actually quite common, especially with shell scripts such as the .sh file that I ran. It is important to note that you are not limited to installing graphically in X, but this will be mentioned later. The Ubuntu Software Center is a graphical package manager which allows you to search through any packages that are in the Ubuntu repositories, or any repositories that you add. Remember that in the last lesson we covered how to install other repositories for software packages that you may wish to add to. The benefits of using the Ubuntu Software Center is that it is easier to find what you want to install. Now this is also true of shell scripts, because it's a lot easier in a graphical interface to find the file that you want. Also, it is considerably easier to find and remove unwanted packages. Once you've found the package that you've already installed, you can simply click remove, which will be demonstrated shortly. And it's very similar to the programs and features section that you would find in the control panel in Microsoft Windows. One major difference is that in programs and features there is no way to search through a central repository for new software. The closest you can get in a Windows environment would most likely be the likes of Windows Update, which now includes some other programs other than just software updates, or something similar to Steam, which is unfortunately a third-party application, whereas the Ubuntu Software Center is part of the Ubuntu installation. Obviously, with a central repository there are some downsides. These downsides start with not all software being listed there. There are software packages that you may want that are not available in the repository, or more importantly, it may be available in the repository but it may not be the latest version, and as such you may need to go to the software developer directly to get the latest version and install it. Generally speaking, this will most likely be through one of the command line methods mentioned in the previous lesson. It can also be somewhat difficult to find specific things that you want in some cases, but it is generally easier than a command line option. You can still install from the command line. However, it will be in a terminal window, and in some instances may cause issues with the installation itself. You can also install via a .deb file simply by double clicking on it, and it will come up in the Ubuntu Software Center. I will now show you how to go about using and browsing the Ubuntu Software Center. As you can see, the icon is here and looks like a shopping bag, very similar to the Android Play Store icon that they used to use. By clicking on this, it will load up the interface for you, and obviously it goes through and accesses the internet to try and get the latest specials or favorites or things of that nature, so that you have the latest list in what's new, top rated, etc, etc, and obviously the ads at the top. Which in this, one of the features I wanted to mention was that you can actually get, as you can see here, a paid for software through this. Now, using this method requires that you are part of the Ubuntu One system and that you have some sort of payment method available. Generally this is a credit card. However, for the moment, most of the available software is free for you to download. As a prime example, a popular media player is VLC, and it is free, and I can in fact simply go into here by clicking on it just there, and as you can see, it will load up all of the information about it. It will tell me that it is in fact free, that all of the information here about it, and give me a screenshot or two to have a look at here. As you can see, it has a couple here, the other one's coming up now, and that's obviously an image of it in actual use. There is also, which is not always the case, add-ons which you can include as part of the installation. The People Also Installed section gives you a list of things that you might also want to install. As a prime example, 7-zip is a very popular compression tool, and as such you may wish to install that. There is also the possibility that you want 3D acceleration and games, so they're available there. They are not the only options. Down the bottom here you can actually see reviews from other people such as yourself. They put in their comments and a number of stars and a title, and you can judge their rating yourself as well, or mark it as inappropriate. There's also many other things to look at. You can also see in the sidebar here that there are categories that you can go through. So as an example, perhaps you wanted a developer tool like we did in the previous lesson, and we needed for example Java. In this one we can actually do the OpenJDK Java 7 runtime, the NetBeans IDE that we tried to install, Iced-T, which is a Java WS, which is Java Web Start replacement, and this can be used to use Java on a Linux distribution, as the Java license has had some issues with being distributed through Linux. Specifically, Ubuntu will not allow you to get the Oracle Java runtimes without going to Oracle themselves. So that's something to keep in mind if you're a Java developer. There are also other areas that you could go into. There are many other languages There's, as it says right there, all 264, which I'm sure will expand over time. You also have here the top rated developer tools, so these are the most popular that are available, and I'll go through a simple installation. I think I'll try the Java 7 runtime so that you can see it. Now obviously it wants credentials to install, just as apps did. Now when it's doing this, you'll see a bar there, but you'll also see an icon up the top that says progress, and if you click on that, it will actually give you a bit more detail about what's going on. Now in this instance, it's having to download 47.8 megabytes. Once it's done doing that, it will actually go through the installation. So I'm just going to fast forward a little bit here. Alright, so it's about to finish, and there it goes. So it's now applying changes, which is in effect doing the installation. Once that's done, it will be installed and ready for use. Now had it been something more user applicable, such as an application or a game or something of that like, then I could actually go into the menus and show you where it was. Now anytime you install something, it is generally expected that you will be able to find it in the menus, and this is no different in the Software Center than it is in the apt-get or any other method for that matter. The one exception to this would probably be installing from source, which does not always guarantee you a menu entry. I hope that's been informative. Thank you.